We turn to Indonesia now, where there's growing concern over massive nickel mining operations polluting local bodies of water. Around Kabaena Island in southeast Sulawesi, the sea has turned red and is now threatening the livelihood of thousands, as DW's Ferdinand Himawan reports. The presence of the mines has also sparked tensions between the island's indigenous people and the Bajau, a nomadic seafaring community.
There's no fish for dinner tonight. Samawati and her family are ethnic Bajau. They live and rely on the sea. But the blue waters where they used to catch fish are now brown, filled with waste from the nickel mines that operate on the island.
We, the people who live by the sea, are deeply troubled by this red soil. There's no more hope that the water will ever be clear again. It feels almost impossible for things to go back to the way they were. All the fishermen reject mining because our lives and livelihoods depend on the sea.
It's not just an environmental problem. The waste also poses a health risk to anyone in contact with the contaminated water.
I felt it myself, the itching. My hands broke out in sores because of the water.
The mining company we spoke to says it has built reservoirs to contain the waste. But they are not big enough, and heavy rains cause the sediment to overflow into the sewer system and out to the sea. The issue has split the local community. For the indigenous Moronene people who live in the mountains, the nickel mines have provided jobs and a steady income.
For the time being, the presence of the mine helps support both my family and the local economy. Take me, for example. I have 2 kids who are still in school, and I don't have enough money to cover everything. But each month, the company helps pay for their school fees.
The Moronene people have also profited by selling land to the nickel mining companies. They see the Bajau as migrants with no claim to the land. This conflict has made finding a solution harder.
The Kabaena people are caught in a dilemma: protect the sea or depend on mining for their livelihood. Stuck between the two, they hesitate to act. But the time is running out. The longer they wait, the worse the damage gets.
Islands like Kabaena are protected by law. But with 16 companies currently operating here, activists say the government is failing in its commitment to protect the environment.
We reject mining, especially on Kabaena Island, not just because it breaks the rules, but because the current regulations don't protect the local community. If there's going to be mining, then it should happen only when the laws truly protect both the people and the environment.
The government says it is still gathering information on the impact of the mines and environmental damage affecting the island. But with global demand for nickel driving a mining boom in Indonesia, it's likely that communities like the Bajau and future generations will continue to pay the price.
We can now talk to DW's Ferdinand Himawan in Jakarta, who filed that last report you just saw. So, Ferdinand, your report shows the health impacts of exposure to mining waste. What are the long-term consequences?
Yeah, Aaron, when I just arrived at the Kabaena Island, I can see clearly that the water is turning red, which is very worrying for me. And then I read the research from the Satya Bumi, which is an NGO, that said the heavy metal level in that seawater is above the safety level of the WHO standard. And in the long term, the high heavy metal level that is contained in the seawater can cause a more severe diseases for the people who live there, such as kidney problems, liver problems, or even cancer. And when I was there, the children is swimming there freely, happily, but they don't know the consequences that they will get in the future. So yeah, the situation there is very concerning.
Now, water running blood red sounds like an almost biblical problem. Is there a lack of awareness on the impact on the part of the Indonesian government, or simply an unwillingness to act?
For this, I have to take you to the background first. So the nickel mining activity in this Kabaena Island was started in 2008. And now there are 15 mining companies that is operating there. And all of them has the permit to do the exploration in this small island. But according to the law, there's a law that is clearly stated that any mining activities in a small island, which is less than 2,000 square kilometers, is prohibited. And Kabaena Island is only around 900 square kilometers wide. So it's clearly prohibited according to the law. But then I was wondering how the companies get the permission. So I tried to contact the Ministry of Forestry and also the Environment. And basically they said they cannot tell us why and how they can get the permission. And they said they do not know the situation there is like what. And also from my questions, then they will do monitoring there and pay more attention to the situation in that island. So yeah, we can say that the government is unaware about the situation.
Now, how exactly have the mining companies responded when local communities complain about what's going on?
Mostly they ignore it because the Bajau people, who is the one who suffer the most because of this mining activities, they constantly and doing all the protests to the companies, asking them to at least clear the water or give them at least decent compensation because they cannot catch fish anymore. But the company, only one time the company give like a fake solution, like they tell the people to clear the mud, to collect the mud in the water, and the company will buy the mud from the people with a really low price. And they do it, and it only lasts for like 1 or 2 days because the Bajau people felt the skin diseases in their bodies, so they stop because it's not worth it compared to the compensation that they get. So I talked to the representative of the companies, and basically they said the situation that is happening now is like the usual consequences for the mining, and the situation in this island must be improved after they finish the exploration in this island. So the mining stopped, they will start doing the rehabilitation, they said.
All right, that was DW's Ferdinand and Himawan in Jakarta. Many thanks for your reporting.
We're joined now by Andi Muttaqien. He's the executive director of an NGO called Satya Bumi. His organisation was the first to draw attention to some of the health and environmental hazards of nickel mining. Andi, welcome to DW. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you describe to us the long-term health impacts of exposure to mining waste? What happens to people?
Sure. So I can show how, based on our research and based on our interview with the people in Kabaena Island, with Bajau people, and also with including Moronene people, there is many impact to local community to their health. We saw the nickel contamination, the water contaminated by nickel, cadmium, copper. All of these elements are above safe levels set by WHO. Mm-hmm. This is have a problem with the health for them, with the skin problem for them. This is very, and they have increases the risk of cancer for their health.
So we're talking about some quite serious health effects here. Is there a lack of awareness of these impacts, of these illnesses on the part of the Indonesian government, or is there simply an unwillingness to act?
I think both are contributed to the situation. Awareness from the government, especially the local government, it's not happened there. That's the first. And the problem since the beginning, also there is no FPIC, free, prior and informed consent about during starting the mining concession or mining operation in the Kabaena Island. That's the first. And the second is we also spotlight and put attention to the companies who do the exploration in this small island. There is no warning from them. There is no special announcement on the impact. So both the government and also the companies, in my opinion, based on our research and interview with the local people, they are contributed to this matters, to this problem.
So when locals go to these companies, or when you go to these companies and say, look, this is what's happening, you're saying that the mining companies just don't respond?
Yes. We try to send a letter to all of the companies who operated in the Kabaena, but no response from them. Mm-hmm. That's the first what we do. And also we discuss with several people and several local NGOs there, and they asking about the responsibility from the companies. They only do several action. For example, they only taking the mud from the from the river. It's only very, very small area. But the problem is not only this company who polluting the island. I mean, even if all of these companies are also do the same with the good faith to taking the mud from the river, taking the mud from the water, it's also cannot bring back the condition as a previous condition.
Mm-hmm. And I just do want to ask you about the fact that nickel is obviously a crucial metal for the transition to clean energy, particularly in batteries for electric vehicles and energy storage. What solutions do you have? I mean, how can we ensure that this doesn't come at the cost of the environmental destruction and the human suffering that we're seeing?
Right. This is what we do. I mean, we can see. The first is, of course, for all the mining companies and for the supply chain, global supply chain, who sourcing the nickel from this island, they need to practice responsible mining and produce clean nickel, following for example, the OECD due diligence guidelines for responsible supply chain of minerals. That's the first. And the other thing that we need to push is to the end user. For the electric vehicle manufacturers, for example, they need to ensure that none of the nickel is sourced from Kabaena, this island.
All right. Okay.
And second is provide remedies related to the operation of automobile factories and do the transparent public the nickel and battery supply chain used by these automobile manufacturers.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But Andi Muttaqien from the NGO Satya Bumi, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. You're welcome.